afternoon, everyone. Great to see you here. Oh my gosh, all right. Well, really excited about this conversation today because we get to hear from 3 startups touching the payment space in pretty different ways. So I think just to help the audience a little bit, if I could just go down starting with you, John, and if you could just give a little 5-second overview of what you're working on at Highnote.
5 second, okay.
5 second, 10 second. We have enough room for 10 seconds with this.
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm John Mack. I'm CEO and co-founder of a company called Highnote. Highnote is a full stack end-to-end card issuance embedded finance platform serving really 3 main markets. The first is in core card issuance for prepaid, debit, consumer, commercial. The second is in credit servicing, consumer revolving credit servicing. And the third, just recently we announced, is in full stack merchant acquiring, so full pay in and pay out in a payment stack that's modern, scalable, and flexible.
So we're a global financial infrastructure company that's building the world's most accessible financial services for the global majority. So it's about 4 billion people around the world. They represent a $10 trillion economic opportunity. We've now been able to do this across 3 continents. So we're in Kenya, the Philippines, Mexico, delivered it to about 11 million people across the world, and about $6 million in credit origination, which is the first product that we launched on the platform, and now have built out full banking products for this population.
Yeah, Camilla, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Camilla. I'm Brex CEO. Brex is a expense management platform that serves companies from very early stage startups to public companies. We offer from cards, travel management, expense management, bill pay, all together.
Yeah, great. Straight to the point. Camilla, I do want to start with you on one point. Brex has been around for a little bit. You're kind of on the stage, an incumbent in the space, even though you're still very much a startup. But what kind of changes have you seen since our last, big fintech moment in the payment space? What has really taken off or changed in the last year around whether it's areas that you're exploring within Brex, developing new products, or what your customers are asking for?
Yes, great question. I feel that everyone that is speaking a fintech panel those days kind of feel obligated to talk about AI and stablecoins. So I'm trying to do a little bit of a turn here and talk about a few things that I think have been changing a lot the market in the recent years. So first, the SVB crisis. I think there was this idea that banks was just the right and safe solution for you to park your funds. When SVB went down, what happened is it opens this real openness for companies to think, okay, what are the other solutions that are in the market, which actually creates a bunch of opportunities, tailwind, which created opportunities for Brex too. And the second one is a more recent trend around embedded financial partnerships. This is way more recent, but I think this is quite cool that companies are partnering together to not only trying to offer this all-in-one solution, but trying to really find what's the best solution for the customers. And if I would tie those 2 things together, I actually think the reality what's changing here is companies are not accepting this off-the-shelf product offer anymore. They want something that actually fits their needs. And what ends up being, at least for Brex, is that it's okay to partner with whatever, all the other solutions, to actually go and serve the customer needs and fit and meet them where they are.
Makes sense. Yeah. Tala, not Tala, Shivani, at Tala. You've been flying a bit under the radar, but you're growing really rapidly right now. It's been a really exciting year for you. What's the scope of your business looking like right now, and where are you mostly targeting your customers?
I think that's a great question. I think actually just following what you said, I think in some ways our business is actually more relevant than ever, given the global nature of the business, the customer segment. And so in today's economic climate and the changes we're seeing, I think a big thing has been, one, there's actually more demand in our markets for what we do because our customers are under pressure, and in some ways that represents an opportunity for us. I think the other piece is that we've been globally diverse since the beginning. So we've been working across these 3 continents, so it's allowed us as a business to actually adapt very quickly. So as we come into 2025, we've actually seen that diversification, the global nature of our business, and how we are actually the ones kind of alongside these market forces it's given us a lot of momentum. And so as of Q1, we hit a really exciting milestone, which is 300 million in ARR. It's building off a 3-year, 35% CAGR. And we're just seeing that these markets that we're in, the Philippines, Mexico, there's just tremendous opportunity here. And so we're seeing already 60% projected year-on-year growth in margins just in Mexico alone. And I think it's because we're really proving that serving a segment that nobody else is, that incumbent banks are overlooking, and using technology and building kind of that end-to-end financial infrastructure for these markets makes sense. And it can actually open up financial opportunity for companies like ours, but also impact in the global sense.
Yeah, well, first of all, that's really exciting figures. Congratulations on those numbers. Really
Thank you.
impressive. But where within, to kind of drill down on this, within these emerging markets that you're seeing, what products are you seeing the biggest growth with? Is it embracing new technology? Is it this sort of like, skip to mobile that some people have mentioned, with providing the rails from day one, like this technology shifting from one place to where here in these markets we can be totally tech native, jump in, we don't need the existing rails to provide these services. Where have you seen it?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think that in some ways we have actually had to be the bridge and actually, bridge between cash ecosystems as well as digital. And so we're seeing that the trends are happening. These markets are moving more digital. This customer base is adopting, again, mobile wallets, these things. But the reality is 85% of the world is still cash-based. And so companies like ours actually have to operate both in cash ecosystems. So we have, what most people don't know about us is that we're much more of an infrastructure company than just a B2C company. And so we've had to stitch together, retail chains like OXXO, 7-Eleven, traditional bank accounts, mobile wallets, remittance centers to actually create interoperability. And then alongside that, I think to gain the trust of this customer, what we're also seeing is this move towards real-time payments, real-time settlement, and that's how you develop trust with this customer base. And so for us, we have to create that instant value. So using machine learning since the beginning, and now AI, to learn in real time, our credit decisioning takes less than 2 seconds.
Wow.
And then in terms of getting the money to this customer to develop, again, that trust with them and that relationship, it's under 2 minutes. And so we've invested in speed since the beginning.
So speed from day one. John, I wanted you to walk us through your interesting business model that you have too, because we're talking about infrastructure and how Tala is, an infrastructure company. You're an infrastructure company. So
Yeah, thanks. And before I'm still trying to forget that SVB weekend.
Yeah.
So thanks for reminding me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think, I think Highnote has come out at a great time where we've seen over the last 5 years in embedded finance sort of a growing, I would say, dissatisfaction with processing, with the pace at which companies can grow and innovate when it comes to full end-to-end payment technology. And so we approached that problem by thinking about how to build something completely different, thinking about how to build more of a product platform for payments so that customers could innovate on top of our platform versus having them come to us to build features for them. So it's a little bit of flipping it on upside down a little bit. And to do that, there's a lot of things you have to build in the infrastructure. You have to abstract out the capabilities, expose through APIs end-to-end all the way down to the core networks. And I think that what we're seeing now with some of the innovations that we've just been talking about with AI and with stablecoin, having a platform that doesn't hold back customers from innovating, but rather is current and able to embrace new capabilities, that's really what Highnote has been built for, and we're seeing that traction with customers that want to do things differently, want to move a little bit faster, want to grow revenue quickly, and have that relationship with their customer end-to-end through a partner that can keep pace. And that's what Highnote's all about. It's a product platform within embedded finance.
For sure. Kind of jumping off of that, what categories, you said your customers want to iterate quickly, are there specific pieces of this that they're saying, hey, what's a product that you could build for us? Like, this is the thing we want, and can you respond to that quickly?
Sure. Right now, we're a horizontal platform, so many, many different verticals ranging from fleet and fuel cards to accounts payable automation and accounts receivable in the middle with virtual card issuance and settlement, corporate disbursements. And one of the things we're seeing as an example is we have customers that are overseas that want to fund their program account in the US. And so what we're doing now is obviously supporting wire transfers from overseas to fund the account. Well, guess what? The banks can't apply a wire on the weekends or on bank holidays. And so leveraging digital currencies to, in effect, put stablecoin onto the chain and have us convert that into fiat and populate our bank account with, say, RTP, that's an innovation that connects different pieces on a platform that's modern, that allows them a simple use case of, I want to fund my account 7 by 24 hours in a US bank, in fiat. And so that's just an example that lights up that capability for all of our customers as we evolve.
Right. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Camilla, at Brex, where are you seeing kind of a similar question, but where are your customers really like asking or demanding for products, and where have things been really taking up recently?
Yes, where we have seen the most growth is definitely around the global capabilities. I think there is a huge need for companies. I mean, companies are like now more and more like growing globally, like have like presence like in different countries, like have to orchestrate different currencies, right? So having like a solution that can work across those different markets and like that can unify like how you reconcile like when you're closing the books, this has been like one of like the largest needs that we've seen from our customers. So it's not only about saving hours like locally, but how they can actually unify like those multiple entities they have like across different regions. So for Brex, what we have been investing a lot is like how we actually allow like more and more like different currencies. So today we have more than 60 different currencies. We offer like, we are present in more than 120 countries. And when I talked about those things, it's not only like going and using your card, but it's actually having like local acceptance for the card. It's actually have like local billing, local currency reimbursement, and having it all together, tying out like to the one single like integration, like whatever like ERP the company use, like that's what is very differentiator for Brex.
For sure. Shivani, I'm curious. Sounds like Brex is also working in this global space, but do you see your competition coming mostly from other startups that are kind of building out these rails as well as you and these payments in these emerging markets, or kind of legacy banks in their locales or different places? Like, who is your biggest kind of competitor when you're coming into this space?
I would say that, I mean, I don't see it as, right now I'm not seeing anyone stitching together the entire end-to-end kind of aspect. So actually delivering customer value and thinking about the underlying infrastructure, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
So in some ways, we are our
so
first
in fact,
client.
no one else. You are the
Yeah.
first client. Yeah.
Yeah. So in some ways, we're our first client, right? And eventually, can we help other service providers? Yes, because now we have that underlying technology. I also think that customers in these markets, even this customer base that we're talking about, the 4 billion people that are overlooked, I think they're demanding more as well from startups, from banks, and I think that's where the industry at large is moving in terms of how can we now leverage this kind of new end-to-end technology, how can we leverage AI to deliver on personalization in financial services. So that's really where I'm excited to go.
For sure. We've also talked, a lot about, we started the day off a bit talking about the Genius Act and kind of standardizing, at least in the States, rails around stable coins and these payment systems and how we can embed those more into our financial system. John, what are you seeing with Highnote around this kind of integration? Would this act, be helpful for you? Like, where are the problems you're still seeing, and would a lot more streamlined?
Yeah, I think it will, and I think there's going to be a lot more behind this as things evolve, and there's more adaptation, more acceptance, and then more use cases that are driving innovation in a safe way. I think that's what it comes down to. It's really about not only the education, but also those guardrails that can protect, but also allow for businesses to move faster in lighting up different use cases. And so, as I said before, this is just one use case. I think when it comes to cross-border remittance, I mean surely this, probably most people would agree, this is something that's here to stay and will continue to evolve and grow. And we all know that in order to do that, there do need to be some guardrails. And I think it's early days, but I see more and more coming at a safe pace as we light up more and more use cases for customers.
Do any of you see, these kind of guardrails and also streamlining systems taking place, outside of the U.S. market? Like obviously stablecoins are tied to this, to the USD mostly, like that's a good way to kind of back into these payments, but are there other locales that are kind of looking into this and exploring this? Is it the Wild West? Like what are you seeing? I can start, Camilla, if you have any thoughts.
So can you repeat the question again?
Of course, yes. So my main question would be, where do you see other countries also developing this infrastructure if this is so useful for them to get access to an asset like the US dollar? Are people developing this as well? Are we behind in the US? Like where do we need to go from here?
I mean, I'm Brazilian, so I think in the US we are kind of like always a little behind on like the financial service, like the 50 states regulation and all of that. I could go talking about this for hours. But I think in the end of like the day is as I said in the beginning, right? It's like one of like the main needs, like one of the main questions is like we work like in a global company, like or like in a global world, like the company is like globalized and like they have presence everywhere. So like this needs for like, okay, how are we gonna transfer money? It's growing in every scenario that you can think. It's like how you can pay an employee, how you can transfer funds and saving funds like real time over the weekends when like the bank rails are closed. So I think everyone has to be evolving towards that in its real-time payments. Like we have like Brex in Brazil, we like have UPI in India. So and in the US we still like fighting to like really have like real-time payments in place, right? So yes, we are behind, and yes, it has to be global.
Great. I think we're right out of time here, but thank you all so much. Great conversation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.